Heyo, you're tuning into Toasted Reddit, where I cook your time with some Reddit stories. Right now, we've got relationships where OP's wife decides to meet up with an ex after 14 years. And let me tell you, I'm already worried. But our first story is by TD Coda. My wife is going to drive an hour to have dinner and drinks with an ex she hasn't seen in person for 14 years. We have been together for 7, married for 5. Long story short, I don't know too much about this guy. What I do know is that they dated exclusively from 20 to 21 years old. She lost her V card to him, and then for the next 2 years they dated on and off. But even when they were off, though, they still hung out all the time. She says that she never cheated on anyone else she was dating in those 2 years, but said she spent more time with him than she did with the few boyfriends she had during that time. It just wasn't anything physical. Long story short, 14 years ago, they get into a big fight and they stop seeing each other altogether. About 2 years ago, they started texting each other again. This was definitely not hidden from me. She was open and said, "Hey, just to let you know, I'm talking to an old ex. If it is an issue, I will stop." Basically, at that time, my wife's mom and his mom passed away within a few months of each other, and they started talking again. It felt like it was no big deal. Now, 2 years later, they still text here and there. It is not secret. A couple days ago, though, she brought up to me that they made plans to meet for the first time in 14 years in a few weeks. She's going to drive up to his town and meet up with him on a Saturday night. Okay, this is just getting worse the more I'm reading. And I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me. There's no logical reason for me to think she's going to cheat on me. I just feel weird about it. Am I being paranoid? Well, in my opinion, OP, I'm sorry to say, but I'm gonna have to rip the band-aid off on this one. Your relationship is essentially non-existent as it currently goes. In my opinion, the first thing is you're being trickled truth, which is just used to gain your confidence in the fact that she is telling you the truth, but she's only trickling the truth to you. For starters, she started texting him and then told you that she started texting him. And then this time, she made already a date. Let us be real here, it is a date. They're meeting up on Saturday night. That is a date, okay? They didn't set up to go together for Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. That is already setting up some weird shenanigans in my brain. But the other thing is, she made this plan before even talking to you. So in my opinion, OP, you are absolutely being trickled truth here. She is telling you the truth, but she's also not telling you the truth, if that makes sense. Or just not the full truth, if that makes even better sense. And to talk from my own perspective, in my opinion, a relationship, the strongest trifecta of a relationship is physical, emotional, and mental exclusivity with your partner. And for example, you show emotions to your partner that you don't show to anyone else. You tell your partner things on your mind that you don't tell to anyone else. You do things physically with them that you don't do with anything else. And 2 years ago? Yes, 2 years ago, they started talking again, and it was due to their shared connection of their mothers passing away. That is an emotional wound, and this is a weird, metaphysical type thing going on here, but let me make this a metaphor. We're gonna get in, we're gonna kind of go a little bit biblical here. Just carry on. It's not gonna get biblical, but it is going to be in that air. So essentially, we have two pieces of flesh. Your wife, quote unquote, and this dude. They are both wounded because their mothers have died. And they, through their connected acts of their mothers not being around anymore, they have decided to come together and be the glue for themselves and have healed. They are now together. if that makes kind of sense. And I mean, that shows up in the fact that she is not being emotionally exclusive with you, OP. Her talking about the fact that her mom passed away, that should be a conversation that she has with you, OP. And yet, she has somehow learned that her ex had also had their mom pass away, and then somehow they also got back into connection, and now also somehow they're also meeting up together on a Saturday night. Like, in my opinion, OP, you're not wrong to be paranoid. You're absolutely right to be paranoid. The only problem is that you are 2 years too late to be paranoid. And to be even more frank, OP, you are currently I'm going to quote you from earlier on. You are now becoming one of the few boyfriends that she had during the time of their on and off dating. Because she is now back with the person who she has spent most of her time with, who she dated exclusively, which she has also dated you exclusively, supposedly. Like, am I jumping off the deep end with what I'm thinking is happening on here? Yeah, probably, but at the same time, am I really that wrong? Tell me down below. Am I wrong? I don't think I am. In my opinion, OP, I think your relationship is kind of already over. But let us continue on to the comments down below. Personally, I think it is inappropriate for a married woman to get together with not just an old friend or a friend of the opposite ex, but someone she had a previous drawn-out romantic involvement with. And she didn't invite you by default. And it is not on a Sunday afternoon, which screams catch up to me. But on international date night, Saturday night, if she wanted to give him the wrong impression, a good way to do it would be to get together just the two of them without her husband on a Saturday night. She isn't even making an attempt to do the things to make it seem less potentially scandalous. In my opinion, trustworthy people behave in ways that make their intentions clear. It is not so much that she wants to catch up with an ex from long ago, it is the way she's going about it as well that would bother me. I think she is in the wrong. Twitch OP then said, "You're making me more nervous here. I didn't mention it to my original post, but I get the impression this ex is still 100% in love with her. Ding, 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 OP. I asked her once when they started talking again for a couple years ago if he was married, and she said, oh no, he hasn't had a serious relationship since we broke up. Dog, you need to put an end to this now. This is ridiculous. If she has any respect for you, she would not even entertain this. Ask her not to, and if she hesitates or give excuses, then you know what is really going on." And then we have, honestly, a very good quote. I might actually quote this at some point, but we have someone say, "I have a solid maple tree in my yard. If I go out, take one swing at it with an axe, nothing of note will happen. If I repeat taking one swing a day for the next 2 years, as solid as the tree is, it is eventually going to fall." And I just have to say that is really a beautiful quote, but honestly, OP, I think it fits. I think it fits what is happening to you right now perfectly fine. Sorry, not perfectly fine, but just perfectly. Like, it is like a tree falling down. It has been happening day over day over day, and that tree has just gotten closer and closer and closer to falling, and now she's asking to go on a date night with her ex-boyfriend. I think the tree is dead, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, you guys let me know down below. What do you think about OP's relationship? What do you think is happening here? But let us continue on with the next story. Now, before we continue on, I just want to ask that if you are enjoying this so far, that you consider recommending this channel to friends and family, or just people you know, because the help for this channel is greatly appreciated. So, to continue on, and now for the final story, which comes from Baby Bacon Bits. I am married to my wonderful husband. We also recently became first-time parents to our beautiful baby. My husband is pretty much perfect in every single way, except for one recurrent issue. He keeps telling other people very sensitive information about my gynecological health. Examples of this include telling his mother details about my menstrual cycle, telling his male boss when I was diagnosed with uterine fibroids, specifying exactly what kind of doctor's appointments we are going to, IUD insertion, and asking his mother to babysit for us. I have told him that him sharing this kind of sensitive information about what is going on in my pants bothers me, and he has apologized every time. This morning, though, he did it again. I had a very severe postpartum period last night, so bad that the healthline nurse recommended we call 911. It was so bad I was almost fainting from blood loss. I refused to go to the hospital, but my husband took the day off of work to stay home and look after me and the baby today. I am feeling kind of weak and dizzy today, so I appreciated this. However, this morning over breakfast, my husband mentioned that he had explained why he wasn't at work to a male coworker over text, as in he had described exactly what was going on with me, my fibroid issue, the bleeding, everything. Bear in mind that I have never even met this male coworker, and certainly wouldn't have shared this kind of information with him of my own volition. I got upset. My husband apologized, familiar scenario yet again. I get it, he feels good commiserating about my admittedly very stressful and difficult to manage lady problems with his married coworkers and his mom. It helps him cope, especially after a night spent trying to decide whether I need to be rushed to the emergency room. But still, I am not comfortable with strangers or his mother knowing the details of what is currently happening in my poor malfunctioning uterus. So, am I justified in getting increasingly more irritated and upset with my husband every time I found out that he has been discussing my gyno problems with other people, even though he says it helps him decompress and explain absences from work? How should I handle this situation? Edit. My husband is not autistic, nor does he have ADHD. Normally, he is quite good about not sharing something once I tell him the subject is off limits. For some reason, he just doesn't seem to be able to get it on board with the idea that anyone should find this kind of information embarrassing or invasive. Well, I'm just gonna take a guess and say that OP's husband is not a nurse or in any hospital care or anything, because with the amount of lawsuits he would have had already with HIPAA violations, it is unimaginable. But aside from that, I really have nothing other than to say that this is just weird behavior. Talking about your menstrual cycle to other people, that is just weird behavior, just weird, period, end of statement. All right, we're gonna move on to the comments though, because I bet they have a much more logical, or sorry, just a much more informative take than what I'm going to give, because I don't got anything here. And I'm not too privy onto the people who actually were against OP in this post, but apparently that was something of commonality, so much that the top posts on this thing were people angered about people sympathizing with the boyfriend instead of OP. But here we go. Are you people actually fridging stupid? How is "don't tell your mother or strangers about my V and uterus" this hard to comprehend and sympathize with? I would go further and make it "don't talk about my medical history with anyone." If I want someone to know those things, I will tell them. You are so right. Honestly, this just angered me, because there seems to be this contingent heck bent on normalizing sharing their partner's periods or menstrual cycles with the world, and they've all decided to congregate on this post. For real, I was shocked at the amount of comments admonishing OP for not understanding he needs support too. Needing support does not mean he has the right to tell a bunch of people OP's medical information, especially when she's explicitly asked him not to. Also, I personally don't feel like it is impossible to seek support or vent about things without going into specific details about someone else's reproductive system. It's not only that it is easy to comprehend, but the idea of doing what OP's boyfriend does makes me wildly uncomfortable. Like, you could literally not pay me enough to bring up details of my girlfriend's period as a topic to my mom. I'm having to just hit the send on this comment while yelling "la la 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 la" out loudly to distract myself from the thought. You know what? I actually came up with a little bit of information. OP, you should get him a journal. That might actually help you. Because he just likes venting. So maybe if he had a journal to talk to, maybe that would make it better? I don't know. It's a guess, but hey, I mean, it is worth something if it solves the problem, right? But yeah, anywho, aside from that, that is just about it for today. Now, before I end this off, I'ma just let you know about my podcast, where I post the same old stuff just in a form where you can listen to while going to bed, doing homework, or just something to listen to while working. But whatever the occasion, it'll be there. But enough of that. That is just about it for those stories today. And if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe to become a fellow bread bag. Though, aside from that, I post 2 new videos every day on YouTube, so I hope to see you next time toasting session. But until then, have a good one.